When you think of a millionaire, what image pops into your head? A flashy sports car, a giant mansion, designer clothes, maybe even someone sipping champagne on a yacht? Well, here's the shocking truth. Most millionaires don't look anything like that. In fact, they often live right next door to you, in modest houses, driving average cars, wearing normal clothes. And that's the entire point of the Millionaire Next Door. This book reveals that the real wealthy aren't the ones flaunting it. They're the ones quietly building it. So today, let's break down the habits, mindsets, and strategies of millionaires, and how you can apply them to your own life. The core premise. Stanley and Danko spent years studying millionaires across the United States. And they discovered a huge disconnect between how society thinks millionaires live and how they actually live. Millionaires are not usually doctors, lawyers, or CEOs with extravagant lifestyles. They are often small business owners, entrepreneurs, or professionals who simply live below their means and invest consistently. They don't chase status symbols, they chase financial independence. The authors introduce two categories of people: PAWs, prodigious accumulators of wealth. These are people who accumulate far more wealth than their income suggests. UAWs, under accumulators of wealth. These are high-income earners who spend everything and have little to show for it. So, the lesson is clear. It's not how much you earn. It's how much you keep. Lesson 1. Millionaires are frugal, not flashy. One of the biggest takeaways from this book is simple but powerful. Wealthy people are frugal. Most millionaires don't buy brand new luxury cars every year. In fact, the majority drive cars that are a few years old, reliable, and practical. They don't buy designer clothes just to impress others. They don't eat out every single night. And they certainly don't live paycheck to paycheck just to look rich. Here's a surprising fact from the book. Most millionaires live in homes worth less than $400,000, even when they could afford much more. So ask yourself this: are you trying to look wealthy? Or are you actually working to be wealthy? Comment below. If you had the money, would you rather buy a brand new luxury car, or keep driving your old one and invest the difference? Lesson 2. They budget and track their money. Here's another secret: millionaires budget. That might sound boring or even unnecessary if you're wealthy, right? But the truth is, the wealthy didn't become wealthy by ignoring their money. They know exactly how much they earn, spend, and save. They set financial goals. They don't rely on luck, they rely on discipline. Think about it this way: if you don't tell your money where to go, it will disappear without you even realizing it. The authors found that 2/3 of millionaires keep detailed records of their spending and plan their finances carefully. So here's a challenge for you: do you have a written budget? Or are you just hoping things work out? Lesson 3. Income versus wealth. Here's a myth that the book completely destroys: high income does not equal wealth. The authors give countless examples of doctors, lawyers, and executives earning six-figure salaries, yet barely having any net worth. Why? Because their expenses rise with their income. The more they earn, the more they spend: bigger houses, flashier cars, private schools, expensive vacations. On the other hand, you'll find small business owners, farmers, and blue-collar workers who live modestly, save aggressively, and invest wisely. And over time, they build significant wealth. So the lesson is clear: it's not about how much money comes in. It's about how much money you keep and grow. Lesson 4. PAWs versus UAWs. One of the most powerful concepts in the book is the idea of PAWs and UAWs. PAWs, prodigious accumulators of wealth. These are people who, compared to their income, have saved and invested a significant portion. They're disciplined, consistent, and intentional about building wealth. UAWs, under accumulators of wealth. These are people who might earn big paychecks but save very little. They spend to impress. They chase status. And they end up with very little wealth to show for all their hard work. The authors even created a formula to determine whether you're a PAW or a UAW. Multiply your age by your annual realized income, then divide by 10. That number is what your expected net worth should be. If you're above that number, you're a PAW. If you're below, you're a UAW. Example, let's say you're 40 years old and earn $100,000 a year. 40 times 100,000 divided by 10 equals $400,000. That means your expected net worth should be around $400,000. If you've got more than that, you're ahead of the game. If not, time to take a closer look at your spending habits. Pause for a second. Do the math for yourself. Are you closer to a PAW or a UAW? Drop it in the comments. Let's see how everyone stacks up. Lesson 5. Millionaires choose their neighborhoods carefully. Here's something fascinating. Most millionaires don't live in the richest neighborhoods. Why? Because living in a wealthy area often pressures people to spend more on cars, clothes, private schools, and social activities. It's the keeping up with the Joneses trap. Millionaires tend to live in middle-class neighborhoods, where the expectations are lower, and where they can focus on saving and investing instead of competing with their neighbors. According to the book, more than half of America's millionaires have lived in the same house for over 20 years. Think about that. While others are upgrading homes every few years, millionaires often stay put, pay down their mortgage, and let their net worth grow quietly in the background. So here's a challenge. Are you buying a home to live in, or are you buying it to show off? Lesson 6. Millionaires spend time planning their finances. Stanley and Danko found that millionaires spend twice as much time planning their investments and financial future compared to the average American. They don't just wing it. They create written financial plans. Spend time researching investments. Meet with advisors, but always stay in control of decisions. And constantly monitor their progress. This doesn't mean you need to be a finance expert, but it does mean you need to treat your money with the same seriousness you treat your job. Imagine if you spent just 5 hours a month planning your finances. Over the course of a year, that's 60 hours. Do you think your financial life would look different? Absolutely. Lesson 7. Millionaires value financial independence over status. Here's the truth. Status is expensive. Independence is priceless. Millionaires don't spend their money trying to look rich. They spend their money to gain freedom. Think about it. Driving a luxury car might make you look successful for a moment. But having enough investments to never worry about bills again? That's true success. Stanley and Danko found that the majority of millionaires would rather be financially free than have social approval. If you had to choose, would you rather have everyone think you're rich? Or actually be rich, even if nobody notices? Comment your answer below. Lesson 8. How millionaires actually spend. This part of the book breaks a lot of myths. Millionaires are not cheap, they simply spend differently. Cars, they usually buy reliable, used cars and drive them for many years. Houses, they buy modest homes and stay in them. Clothes and jewelry, they don't waste money on expensive designer brands. Food, they eat out occasionally, but most meals are home-cooked. Instead of spending on things that lose value, they invest in things that grow value: stocks, bonds, real estate, and businesses. Remember this, millionaires don't ask, how much does it cost per month? They ask, what will this do to my long-term net worth? Lesson 9. The trap of economic outpatient care. This is one of the most surprising findings in the book. Many wealthy parents often give financial help to their adult children. The authors call this economic outpatient care, basically financial handouts. Here's the problem: instead of helping, it usually hurts. Children who receive constant financial gifts often develop poor money habits. They become dependent on their parents instead of learning discipline. They spend more freely, save less, and often fail to accumulate wealth themselves. Meanwhile, the children who don't get these handouts are forced to learn how to manage money, live within their means, and build wealth the hard way, which actually sets them up for long-term success. So the lesson here isn't never help your kids, It's about teaching them financial responsibility instead of creating dependency. What do you think? Should parents help their adult kids financially, or should they let them figure it out? Comment your take. This is always a heated debate. Lesson 10. Millionaires teach their kids discipline, not luxury. When it comes to raising kids, millionaires focus less on giving their children a luxurious lifestyle, and more on instilling values of work ethic, saving, and independence. The authors found that many children of millionaires didn't even realize their parents were wealthy, because their parents lived so modestly. Think about that for a moment. A true millionaire isn't bragging about wealth to their kids. They're showing, by example, how to live below their means and invest for the future. Question for you: if you have kids, are you teaching them how to earn money or just how to spend money? Lesson 11. The discipline factor. One of the strongest themes throughout the Millionaire Next Door is discipline. Millionaires don't achieve wealth overnight. They don't rely on lottery tickets, luck, or quick schemes. They get rich slowly, by consistently living below their means and investing wisely. It's not glamorous. It's not flashy. But it works. The authors emphasize that becoming wealthy isn't about being a financial genius. It's about consistently making smart, boring decisions for years and years. So if you think you need to be the next Warren Buffett to build wealth, think again. What you really need is discipline and patience. Lesson 12. Real case studies. Let's talk about some of the real-life examples from the book. One millionaire couple lived in the same modest home for over 30 years. They drove older cars, never wasted money on luxury, and quietly built a multi-million-dollar net worth through investing. Their neighbors had no idea they were wealthy. Another example, a doctor earning $500,000 a year, but spending so much on luxury cars, a massive home, and private schools that his net worth was shockingly low. On paper, he looked rich, but financially, he was fragile. These examples prove the author's point: wealth is what you don't see. The guy with the Rolex, the Ferrari, and the mansion might actually be broke. Meanwhile, the person in jeans and a pickup truck might be worth millions. Lesson 13. Millionaires are self-employed more often than not. Here's another insight. Many millionaires are business owners. They don't all work for massive corporations. In fact, a significant percentage own small businesses, plumbing companies, car dealerships, construction firms, manufacturing shops, or service businesses. Why? Because owning a business gives them control over their income, their time, and their ability to grow wealth beyond a salary. That doesn't mean you can't become wealthy with a 9-to-5 job. But it does highlight the power of entrepreneurship. Be honest, if you had the chance, would you rather build your own business, or stay in a safe corporate job? Lesson 14. Millionaires avoid debt like the plague. This shouldn't surprise you, but it's worth repeating. Most millionaires avoid debt. They don't finance luxury cars. They don't carry credit card balances. They pay off mortgages aggressively when possible. They understand that debt is a wealth killer. Every dollar going toward interest is a dollar not working for them in investments. If you want to build wealth, your first step isn't a hot stock tip. It's cutting out debt and freeing up cash flow to invest. Lesson 15. Millionaires are often first-generation wealthy. Here's something fascinating. Most millionaires didn't inherit their wealth. In fact, 80% of millionaires in the US are first-generation wealthy. That means they built their fortunes from scratch, often starting with little or nothing. This destroys the myth that you need a trust fund, rich parents, or special advantages to build wealth. What you need is mindset, discipline, and time. Lesson 16. Millionaires invest wisely, not wildly. Millionaires don't chase every hot stock tip or jump into risky investments. They focus on long-term, proven strategies, index funds, mutual funds, and retirement accounts. Real estate that generates steady cash flow. Businesses they understand deeply. They're not day traders glued to a screen. They're not gamblers at the stock market casino. They're patient investors who let compound interest do the heavy lifting. Remember this: millionaires don't ask, "How can I get rich fast?" They ask, "How can I stay rich forever?" Lesson 17. They're careful with time and energy. Another surprising trait? Millionaires are intentional with their time. The authors found that millionaires don't waste hours on things that don't matter. They delegate tasks, focus on priorities, and value productivity. Think about it. If your time is your most valuable asset, why spend it binge-watching TV or endlessly scrolling social media when you could be building skills, creating businesses, or growing investments? Millionaires understand that money can be replaced. Time cannot. Lesson 18. Taxes and wealth protection. Millionaires also think carefully about taxes. They legally minimize their tax burden through smart planning, contributing to retirement accounts, structuring businesses for tax advantages, using deductions and credits wisely. This isn't about cheating the system, it's about understanding the system and making it work for you. One of the fastest ways to increase your wealth is simply to keep more of what you earn. Lesson 19. Networking and who you spend time with. Here's a simple truth: who you spend time with influences your financial habits. Millionaires often network with other disciplined, successful people. They surround themselves with peers who encourage smart financial decisions, not reckless spending. As the old saying goes, show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. Question for you: are the people around you encouraging you to save, invest, and grow? Or to spend, consume, and show off? Lesson 20. The big picture: financial independence. At the end of the day, the Millionaire Next Door boils down to this: wealth is not about income. Wealth is not about looking rich. Wealth is about freedom, independence, and security. True millionaires don't need to impress anyone. They don't fear job loss or economic downturns. They've built a financial fortress that allows them to live life on their terms. And you can do the same, if you're willing to live below your means, avoid debt, invest consistently, and be patient. Final takeaway: here's the ultimate message of the book: you can become a millionaire by choice. You don't need a lottery ticket. You don't need a massive inheritance. You don't even need a six-figure salary. What you need is discipline, consistency, and a willingness to live differently from the crowd. Wealth is not flashy. Wealth is quiet. Wealth is built in the background while everyone else is trying to look rich. So ask yourself this: are you working to impress others? Or are you working to secure your future? If this summary of the Millionaire Next Door opened your eyes, here's what I want you to do next. Hit that like button to keep getting more valuable info. Subscribe if you want more deep dive summaries of the best personal finance and wealth building books. Drop a comment. Are you more like a PAW or a UAW right now? And what's one change you'll make starting today to move closer to financial freedom? Remember, your financial future is in your hands. Millionaires don't get there by accident. They get there by design. So, what kind of millionaire do you want to be?